This is Carrie Johnson with the Iowa Department of Management, and this is a continuation of the series of webinars to discuss the submission of property values to the Department of Management's online system. Part 6 in this series is about finalizing and filing that data with the system for the year. Just as a reminder, before filing the data, be sure to run errors checks and the rollback worksheet. And if you make any changes, please rerun the errors check and rollback reports. So if you had an error you discovered, had a change to a TIF that needed to be corrected and you uploaded a new file, be sure to go through the steps to run the errors checks, look over everything in detail and make sure that it all makes sense and is correct. Just a reminder that you can't flip-flop taxing district numbers from year to year. You can't change taxing districts from TIF base to a TIF increment or vice versa year to year. And you can't change non-TIF taxing districts to a TIF taxing district or vice versa. You can't change property types from rural to urban, urban to rural, city exempt to non-city exempt, and please be certain you're not submitting negative values, negative military exemptions, negative homestead amounts, no negative numbers. Be sure to check with the assessor on any questions you may have. Make sure that what you're submitting makes sense with the total values as submitted on the assessor's abstract. Touch base to make sure that there's no adjustments that you need to make prior to submitting those values. Um, Check your TIF. Manually check each of those TIF districts and make sure that the software generated amounts equal the amounts calculated using the TIF formula. If you have a question about the TIF formula, it is found in your valuation instructions. If a TIF authority requests less than the amount authorized, make sure that you reallocate any unneeded increment value to the base value. So to the associated base district, to that increment district in that valuation year. Ensure that any assessment limitation or rollback comes off of the base district first, and make sure that your 100% and taxable value are both appropriately distributed between your base and increment tax districts. If you had to make utility value changes, say you deleted some tax districts, divided up some tax districts due to a fire split or something of that nature, if you had to move some value around that was utility value, railroad value, gas and electric value, make sure you report that movement of value from one taxing district to another to Department of Revenue and to the utility companies. You see this most often happen with school reorganizations. So you may have to, combine taxing districts due to a school organization. And so you combine utility value in that way. So just be sure that those types of changes are being communicated both to the companies and to Department of Revenue. While you're working in the system, you'll be asked to file with DOM to make your reports public. So if you go in there, you filed, and then a week later you find a mistake, so you go in there, make that correction, save it, upload a new file, whatever, check everything over. In order to make that correction finalized, you need to go in and file data with DOM again to finalize the changes. So in order to file that data, you go to File, Unfiled Data over here, and you'll see if you've uploaded a file that you're going to be listed as a work in progress, and your data status is not public. So it's a work in progress. No one in the public can see your data, and it's not been loaded to the levy authority budgets. So just keep that in mind. If you are saying, well, I uploaded my data, and you have a city or school say, well, I don't see any value on there, it could be because you didn't actually file it to make it public. So just be sure that you make that step in order for your value to be viewable. It is viewable instantly, essentially, whenever you file that data. So there's not really a large time lag or anything. It should be available pretty much the next time someone opens their budget. So if you click file, it's going to say you want to file your data and make it available to the public. You click yes, and you'll get a green confirmation if everything's good. If your data has errors, it's not going to let you make that data public, right? So it's going to tell you that you need to go and check out those errors in the errors checks. If you do, like I said, need to make corrections, if you find out something's wrong in your valuations, the first thing you'd want to do is go to the system and unfile the data. So that makes it no longer public. And it also tells any levy authorities if they go into budgets that your data is not in a filed status and the numbers that are in there might change. So it's giving them a heads up too. So go in there, you unfile to make your data unavailable to the public. So you do yes, changes your status to work in progress. You do what you need to do, check over everything again, and then file your data again to make it public. And let your levy authorities know if their value changed. Just a reminder, you need to provide valuation reports to all levy authorities by January 1, so January 2nd, since the 1st is a holiday. You do that by submitting your data to Department of Management and letting then your levy authorities know that it's out there. The public can review, the public, your levy authorities are probably the ones that would be interested, but they can review your reporting status from just our main sort of landing page. They don't need to log in or anything. They just go to that page and they can view whether your values are filed or not filed. So that kind of helps them keep track of where that process is. Additionally, there's a variety of different public reports that are available to anyone just by going to that valuation system and not logging in. That's also, say, if you are curious about the valuation figures in another county, you can go access the reports for those counties as well. For the public, they do have some fewer reports just because some of them are just not needed for their use. So they have fewer reports than you would see as a county auditor role. But there is lots of helpful information out there if you have folks that are just curious about valuation numbers. And it does include prior years. It goes back quite a ways. And those reports, again, can be downloaded into a CSV, so they can be put into Excel, or you can download a PDF, which again is, easier viewing. Again, make sure you file data with DOM after you make any changes and alert any levy authorities that were impacted. If you have any questions or you get in a situation where you're not sure if you need to make a change, please contact me either by phone or by email. Thank you.